Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good evening to you wherever you are. This is a Clara Luper radio show, and today's show is dedicated to those of you out in radio land that are trying to say to America, drugs are bad. We have so many people that are fighting drugs, but are we losing the war? Are we going forward? I want you to call me at 478-2103 because I want your thinking. What do you think we can do in Oklahoma City? Will we be able to stand by and let the drug dealers take over our territory? What will happen? I don't know, but I know you know, and therefore I would like for you to call me here at 478-2103, and I want your thinking. Today's program is being made possible by Rainbow, and Rainbow is good to bread. As you do your shopping, and certainly you're entering the holiday season, be sure and stop by and get some Rainbow bread because Rainbow is good to bread. Not only that, Rainbow makes this program possible. And I know you have been waiting all the week, and you aren't going to be disappointed today because I do have a very, very good program all worked up just for you. What do you think about drugs in Oklahoma City? Do you think that something can be done, or do you think that it will continue to be the number one problem, especially in the minority community? When I say especially, I am aware of the fact that we have drugs all over town. But if you had rats all over town and there were some rats in your house, it seems to me the thing to do would be to try to get the rats out or the snakes out of your home first. We do have a responsibility and we cannot dodge our responsibility. We must fight it from every direction. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and today is going to be a special one because there are so many things that I have to tell you, and I want you to really be serious about. I would like to thank all of you that have called me from that are members of the Tinkerfield Credit Union asking me for additional information. I shall try to furnish you with that information. I owe it to you. You have been with me all through the years, and now if you want to know some more about Tinker Credit Union, you should ask, and I should go out and ask for you and read the minutes and what have you in order that you can understand what's going on. The day has come that the books must be open. If you're right, you're right, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. Who am I to say who's right and who's wrong? All I am saying is that I want the information because I am a member of the Tinker Credit Union, and you deserve the information, and you can get that information. All you have to do is to go out and get the information. It's interesting as we look today at the problem, and we must look at it from different angles. There are many people say that the drug problems have been brought about because of broken homes, because of a lack of parental care, because the homes are headed mainly by mothers. Some say that young people have nothing to do, and therefore they will resort to drugs. Others say they have too much to do. I want to hear from you, and I want to know exactly what you are thinking. The telephone number is 478-2103. Are today's young people worse than they were 10 years ago or 20 years ago? What is it? Some say it's the music they are listening to. Some say it's their environment, but I want to hear from you, the most intelligent listening audience in Oklahoma City. We know we can make America better when we aid our people. We know that. And how can you help people? By telling them the truth. Now, those of you that are confined to prison, certainly as a result of drugs, you have something to say. And if you can call me at 478-2103, that will help us with our program. And our program must be a program that you will enjoy and you will know. I don't know, but I know it's Thanksgiving, and I sure had a big Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, my Thanksgiving was out of sight. You want to know what I had? I have news for you. I had chitlins Oh, I cleaned 40 pounds of chitlins with my own hands. And I'm telling you, after I cleaned those chitlins, I cooked those chitlins. We had turkey for the people that were interested in turkey. We had baked ham. But I just want to brag on my chitlins. And I'm going to brag on them because nobody else did. And I can sure brag myself. My chitlins were delicious. They were so delicious until I put some up. I said, I'm going to save these chitlins for next week. And next week when I get ready, I'm going to serve some more chitlins. Mrs. Hunter, what did you have for Thanksgiving dinner? Tell me what your Thanksgiving dinner was all about.
It wasn't chitlins.
You didn't have chitlins? No. You didn't have chitlins?
No, I had.
That's what I say about the people from Chandler and Stroud. They don't know what's good. All the people from Hoffman and Grayson had that chitlins.
Now, I had the original thing that most people have for Thanksgiving. And you know what that is?
No, I do not know.
Turkey. Because the Pilgrims had turkey, so I've had turkey all of my life. And that's what I look forward to having, is turkey on Thanksgiving Day. And if I don't have turkey on Thanksgiving Day, I don't feel that it's Thanksgiving.
Well, see, the turkeys are really interesting to study. What happened, you go out and you get you some little turkeys and you feed them real good and you go out there, oh, you look so good, you're getting so fat, and those turkeys are really happy because they are looking good and they are fat. Then about Christmas time, they start killing those turkeys.
Oh,
now, the turkeys have not been able to pass on any history to other turkeys, that these people are just fattening you up for the hunter's table.
That's right, for turkey. And then I had corn, because, they had corn on Thanksgiving Day when they were giving thanks, and I had corn, and I had turkey and dressing and that good old giblet gravy and sweet potato pie.
Oh, I had sweet potato pies. My beautiful sister-in-law, Rosie Lee Heron, baked me a couple of sweet potato pies. Onita brought some sweet potato pies. But my chitlins were out of sight, and I want everybody to know that my chitlins were out of sight.
Well, I guess I'll have to come over there and try some of them chitlins. You say you put some of them up for next week. So I don't know what day next week you're going to have them, but whatever day next week, I'm going to have to come over there and try some chitlins, because I don't really particularly care for chitlins.
Well, I'm not going to tell you what day, because if I tell you what day, all my friends will be over there after some chitlins. I can just hear them now. I want some of those special Hoffman cooked chitlins. But I got those chitlins at Mr. V's grocery store. And incidentally, that's your cousin, Mr. Todd.
Right, that is right where, on 50th and Martin Luther King?
Yes, a store that has everything. Did you know you had a cousin that has a grocery store?
No.
Not only a grocery store, but
he had a service station.
He has a service station. He has a grocery store. And then he has food. So if you want to go and eat, and incidentally, if you want to go and eat, you can go there and you can eat. Today is a very serious day, though, because we are asking the question, what can we do? What can we do in Oklahoma City to keep our city from being taken over by those people that would deal in drugs? What's your thinking, Mrs. Hunter?
Mrs. Luper, I really feel that as far as drug is concerned, it would be hard to say this is a solution, because the solutions are beyond the realm of the little person. The solution to get rid of drugs is going to have to start from the top echelon and then come down. Because if we do not know what the drug is like, you do not know it when you see it, you can't tell when people are using it. So it'd be a hard problem for you to say, I know this can be done to alleviate drugs. But I feel if the parents work with the other officers, and those officers work with other officers, and we all get together and set up a plan that this is it. And then one thing the parents can do, this is what the parents can really do, is watch how much money their children take to school with them. Now, when you get in high school, that's a hard job. But from the 8th grade down, and a number of students say they start in the early grades using a drug. But if you can eliminate them taking big pieces of money, large pieces of money, big amounts, big rolls of money, as I hear some of them will carry, then we can help with the drug problem. Now, I know the child is going to say, oh, you're old-fashioned and you don't know what to say and you think this. But whatever they think we think, we should limit their money that they're going to spend when they go to school.
All right, what do you mean limiting their money? Who ever heard of a high school student having enough money to be in the drug business and take care of his educational needs?
This is what I'm talking about, Mrs. Luper. Now, I can't say that it's true, but I understand, not in high school, because I'm not dealing now with high schools. I'm dealing with the lower grades. And some children tell me some of them little fellas will go in their pocket and pull out big rolls of money. Now, as a parent, I look at my kids' pockets before they leave, and I look in their book satchels, because I do not want them to have no more money than I give them for spending change when they go to school. And that's in order that when they have their lunch, they can buy a pop for lunch. Or if they may buy an extra milk or an extra drink, any extra drink during the noon period. Or they may want to buy a pickle. That is the amount of money that I let them have, no more than $2. And that should be enough money for any child to take to school. But when they have money beyond $2, the parents need to start wondering, where did you get this kind of money where you can go to school with a big roll of money?
This is a Clara Luper radio show, and we would certainly like to have your opinion. The telephone number is 478-2103. Once again, it's 478-2103. And today we want to ask you the question. So many of you say, well, we don't know. The people aren't, the leaders aren't doing right. Gloria James is not going after it right. Vicky Miles had a workshop on I'm Mad, and she showed a film of what had happened in D.C., where this year some 636 young people have been killed. And of the 636 in Washington, D.C., 606 of them were black young people. Now, if you represent 9.8% of the population, and every time you lose one, you can certainly feel it. We cannot afford to lose our young people. And those of you out in radio land that know the answer, then I would like for you to call us so we can have your opinion. You can't say Clara Luper didn't give you a chance. I'm giving you a chance to put out your opinion. Now, what do you think? Some psychiatrists and counselors will tell you that you got a low image of yourself. Do you think that's a cause, Mrs. Hunter?
No, I was reading where they said students who cannot read well have a very low image of themselves. And I don't know if that statement is true. I only read it in the news today. But I know that parents are interested in getting involved with their children. And I have a neighbor, and her name is Mrs. Neighbors. Mrs. Neighbors and Mrs. Hunter are asking the parents that's in our community in Garden Oaks if they would call us, and I'm going to give them my number. My number is 427-3925. We want to meet with the parents in Garden Oaks. And if the parents will call Mrs. Neighbors or call Mrs. Hunter and tell us 2 days that they can meet, and after we get all the calls in, and we will pick the possible date, so that we can meet with those parents, especially the parents with children, to see what the parents can do. Because I feel the parents need to be involved, and the parents are involved.
Okay, Mrs. Hunter, I'll be right back with you in a minute. Today's program is being made possible by Soloway's Auto Supply, located at 1811 Northeast 23rd Street here in Oklahoma City. And if you need some auto supply, we'll go down to Soloway Auto Supply. In the meantime, Soloway says have a great holiday season. Clara Luper.
Madam Clara.
Yes, sir.
Augusta and Mrs. Sister Hunter.
Yes, sir.
Augusta Bird speaking.
Yes.
Prayerfully I speak. Holy and divine is the question, and it has to be answered biblically. It's a sin problem. And we as Americans have forgotten God. That's the key to it. Did you hear Bishop House speak a while ago? He spoke for the entire world. He spoke for the church. He spoke for the hearts of every individual, every pastor, every member in the church. We must be born again. And until that is done, America's problems shall never be solved. I had a chance during my parents' days. I have 9 children. And I have taught them the best of wisdom which the Bible can give. The Bible now, not the others, because I call that done because I got rid of that and went to the Bible for the answer. We also have another major problem, patriotism. I had a chance to do patriotic numbers. One of them was on the Sears Norfolk building, and people around the world. Those people had tears in their eyes. It was God Bless America, one of them was. And the other was another patriotism song. And we have forgotten these. We have forgotten what our country was built upon. It was built upon God. And there are other factors which, personally, within the church, I'm choosing the church now.
Oh, you're saying that the responsibility to get rid of drugs rests with the church?
That's the key to why it's here, because the churches didn't do their job. We have to be taught. We have to be taught math. We have to be taught science. We have to be taught correctly in the church what the church.
Well, I think that the people are being taught correctly in the churches.
Well, we leave that.
They have Sunday school, they have BTU, they have church services.
Well, you pastor house. But anyway, I'll leave that subject. Oklahoma City's problem.
Okay.
What are we going to do?
That's what I want to know from you.
Privately, I don't have the answer. Now, in 1960, our Sunday school lesson was too little, too late. See, that's good remembrance, isn't it?
How can you remember what happened in 1960?
I can remember what my Sunday school lesson was when I was 5 years old. That's wonderful. But anyway, we go on from that. Not intellectual won't get it. It's only Christ, and that's what I've turned my life to. Yet, many of you might know my voice. I'm Augusta Burge. Have I given my name?
Yeah, you have given your name. Now, you're saying...
Give it again.
Oh, okay, Mr. Burge,
Yeah.
You're saying that the problem to solve the drug problem in Oklahoma is for people to turn to Jesus Christ.
If I told you that my Sunday school lesson subject for 10 or 20 years ago, I must have an interest. See, I taught my Sunday school by video on a blackboard and lettered it with the T-square.
Okay, now you know you've done that. You can remember, and I want to congratulate you for your remembrance. And I can't remember what the Sunday school lesson was last Sunday.
Well, and I travel on the road. I stop in airports and things. I tell the people about their life.
Well, what are you going to say to the people that's on drugs? What would you say to them?
There is no answer that I can give.
Well, what would you say to them as a Christian?
Well, on this TV, on this
radio,
on this telephone, the people that need to know what it is not listening.
Oh, how do you know that? How do you know that? You don't know that. We have 600,000 people listening to us all over the state.
Well, you asked the question, I have to go another way. I'm
okay.
not trying to dodge the issue, but my understanding about life, I've traveled America for the last 15 years. I've been all over the United States, and I am a blind man. And I run into these problems, and every group I talk to listen to me. They listen to see what I have to say. And if I can do my work to help people in my disability, why can't I help you and you have everything but God in your heart? I'm going to let this subject go. If you have any other answer, ask them quick, because I have no answer, really.
Okay, you don't have an answer. Well, thank you so very kindly for calling.
Call again.
Okay.
Call again.
Okay, bye-bye. Lady, if you really want to get your clothes clean, I would like for you to go to Bright's Cleaners, 4905 North Martin Luther King Avenue. That's Bright's, capital BRIGHT, apostrophe S Cleaners, 4905 Martin Luther King. You can put your clothes in the morning and pick them up in the evening. Bright's Cleaners, soon to be the #1 cleaners in Oklahoma City. As we talk about the problems that face us today, I would like to be joined by Gates Barbershop at 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue. At Gates Barbershop, Gates has been proclaimed as a top barber in Oklahoma City. So if you want to go where you can specialize. Gates Barbershop has what is known as designers haircuts. Letty, do you know what a designer haircut is?
Definitely so. You should see Dante's. If that's not a designer's haircut, I don't know what would be one.
Who cut
the person that you're speaking about?
Mr. Gates?
That's right.
Here's Mr. Gates' barbershop, specializing in designers styles. Now, if you want a Christmas tree in your head and you want it cut in like a Christmas tree, where would you go?
Go to Gates.
Gates
He'll put any kind of design up there that you want. But I hope we'll use a little discretion in getting all these designs as when we go to the barbershop.
Okay, that's at Gates Barbershop, located at 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue. You don't need to call. All you need to do is to take your head by, and Gates will take care of your head. Mr. V's Grocery Store on 50th and Martin Luther King Avenue. Mr. V's Grocery Store. Today we would like to salute Dr. A.L. Dow, our optometrist, located at 934 Northeast 8th Street here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. That's Dr. A.L. Dow. You need to call for an appointment. You may call 235-0536. Marilyn Hildreth, your Allstate insurance agent, would like to take this time to thank you. Those of you that have given her the opportunity to look at your home insurance papers, those of you that she has written life insurance for, automobile insurance, you have made Maryland the #1 Allstate agent in Oklahoma City. I would like to thank you. The other day I was talking to someone. They said, "Oh, Clara, I'm so proud of Maryland. Maryland is really doing well in insurance." And I asked that person a question. I said, "Is she your agent?" And that person held their head down. No, I still have the same agent I had before they started hiring blacks. Well, I'm happy to report that I've changed agents. Maryland is my agent. Letty, who's your insurance agent?
Allstate.
Okay, what's the name of your agent?
My agent's name is Marilyn Hildreth.
Are you pleased with her services?
Oh, more than pleased.
Why are you more than pleased?
Because when I contact them, they do not hesitate. They come right out and they respond immediately. And I feel when they come out and they check into and make an investigation as to what your complaints, they immediately respond. And I'm overwhelmed, enjoyed, and I'm elated that I do belong to Allstate and that your daughter is my agent.
Well, thank you so very kindly. Marilyn Hildreth is a great insurance agent. If you don't believe it, ask any of her clients, and she has hundreds and hundreds of clients. Certainly, we'd like to thank the churches and also the various businesses that have given Marilyn an opportunity to bid on their insurance. I think that one
Did you give them Marilyn's telephone number? Because I want them to have her number.
848-7470. 848-7470. And the reason I'm so excited, this community has invested in Marilyn. They have done everything they could for her. They encouraged her in high school. The people taught her, and I'm happy that she is now insuring some of her teachers. They have taught her in Bible school and Sunday school, and it's all for Marilyn's benefit. And you wanted Marilyn to go to the top. Now you can put her over the top. At this moment, as we remember the Thanksgiving season, we pause now for our funeral and death announcements that will be brought to you by Bonita Brown.
Ross Funeral Home announces the following services. Services for Mr. Drew Adams of 3217 Northeast 20th will be Saturday at 11 a.m., and that's at the Greater Cleves CME Church. Funeral service for Mr. L.C. Brown Sr. of Norman, Oklahoma will be Friday at 1 p.m., and that is at the Bethlehem Baptist Church in Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. Raw Funeral Home announces the services of Mrs. Elsie Dyer of 300 Northwest 12th Street is pending with Raw Funeral Home. Temple Funeral Home announces the services of Mrs. Ruth Smith, and that is 11700 Smith Road in Spencer, Oklahoma, is pending with the Temple Funeral Home. Funeral service for Infant James Slaughter of 414 Babb in Midwest City is also pending with the Temple Funeral Home. Funeral services for Mr. Felton Mosley of 816 Southeast 5th Street is also pending with the Temple Funeral Home. McKay announces the services of Mr. Tom Jones of 6513 North Missouri will be Monday at 11 a.m. in the chapel of the McKay Davis Funeral Home. Funeral service for Mr. Jeffero Fails, 1128 Northeast 15th, will be Tuesday at 11 a.m. in the chapel of the McKay Davis Funeral Home. Funeral services for Mrs. Mary O. Pesey of 1214 Northwest 29th will be Tuesday at 2:30, and that is at the Greater Gospel Kingdom Church of God in Christ. Funeral services for Mrs. Daisy H. Keaton, or 717 Northeast 5th Street, will be Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the Tabernacle Baptist Church. Pollard Funeral Home announces the services of Mrs. Chloe Moore of Oklahoma City will be Monday at 11:30 in the chapel of the Pollard Funeral Home. Funeral service for Mrs. Brashear of Oklahoma City is also pending with the Pollard Funeral Home. As we extend to you today our deepest sympathy, we would say, lift up your eyes from whence your help cometh from, and your help cometh from God. And back to Clara.
Thank you, Onita. We join in expressing our sympathy to all of the families. Now for some good Thanksgiving news, some good news. Mrs. Ruth Tolliver Morris, and she's Mrs. Morris now, the advisor of the NACP Youth Council, and the one that went downtown on that night, August the 1958, is in Oklahoma City. 2 years ago, Mrs. Ruth Tolliver became Mrs. Ruth Morris, married a professor from Cincinnati, Ohio, and we were really upset because in NACP, we were not ready to give Ruth up to Ohio, right?
We really were not. But I noticed she's here visiting her daughter, and I saw them out at the mall shopping because she's going to have to leave, and they were out there trying to get all of their Christmas things together before she left.
Well, when Ruth got married, I told Mr. Morris that we didn't like it a bit, and Mr. Morris told me that it was none of our business, that he had found the lady that he loved, and he was going to take her back to Cincinnati, and there was nothing that we could do about it. And do you know what, lady?
What?
He told the truth. It was nothing we could do about it. Ruth went back to Cincinnati, and she looks so good, and she's having such a wonderful time. I just enjoy her talking about her experiences in Cincinnati, and certainly I would like to congratulate Mr. and Mrs. Morris as they approach their anniversary and wish them all the luck in the world. Stale's Restaurant is a place to eat at 1100 Northeast 23rd Street here in Oklahoma City. You can get the food cooked just like you would like it. That's at Stale's Restaurant, 1100 Northeast 23rd Street in Oklahoma City. Cashland Checking Company, located at 1945 Northeast 23rd Street, is ready now to cash your checks. If you want to have your checks cashed, and make sure that they are good checks. If you want to have them cashed, go to Cashland Checking Company, 1945 Northeast 23rd Street. When I think of the holidays, I think of the Messiah. The Messiah. The third Sunday at St. John's Baptist Church. That's December the 17th. Once again, the Baton and Keyboard Club one of the oldest musical groups in Oklahoma City, will present the Messiah. Now, those of you that would like to sing in the Messiah, remember that rehearsal is Monday, November 27th at Fairview. On December the 4th, it's at 7 o'clock, and December the 11th. Now, you know you're going to have to practice before you can sing. You just can't sing, and that Messiah is very difficult to sing. That's the third Sunday at St. John. Now, we have with us now Genevieve Petty. Genevieve, how in the world are you?
All fine and you, Miss Luper.
Oh, I am fine. I'm just talking about my Thanksgiving, and I'm looking forward to Christmas.
Well, I tell you, I had a beautiful one, too, and I had chitlins, and I had turkey, and you know where I got my turkey from?
No.
Mrs. Luper.
Oh, I understand you had a hen, too, right?
Oh, yes, I'm going to tell all about that. And I had a beautiful hen, too. And I also thank my past seller, Hamilton Word, Greater Gospel Kingdom. He sent me a box, and I tell you, and Fifth Street Baptist, and I just had a big thing.
Now, that wasn't Fifth Street. That was First AME.
Well, First AME, well...
Minister, wait a minute now. Letty better get it straight. Let's get it straight.
Each year we have Thanksgiving program at our church, and it was the first day of me ministers who would.
God will answer your prayer, because He really answered mine. I thank everybody for helping me for Thanksgiving.
Okay, well, I thank you so very kindly for calling, and may God continue to bless you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye. Mm-hmm. That was Miss Genevieve Pettit, and she's certainly grateful. That was quite interesting. The Oklahoma City Set Club, for the 17th year, will present the Young Man of the Year. Now, the Oklahoma City Set Club this year has selected 3 outstanding people to put it together. Vivian Tucker, Wilbur Jones, and Esther Swain. That will be January the 21st. Now, some of you say it was going to be December the 10th. Now, I want you to put this down because they have changed the date to January the 21st at 4 p.m. That's at Lincoln Plaza, the Oklahoma City Set Club. I would like to thank those of you that are supporting the NACP Youth Council. Did you realize that the NACP Youth Council continues to fight racial discrimination? Do you realize this week that we have investigated some 5 cases and have settled them satisfactory, with the exception of 1, and we're still working on it? Did you know your NACP Youth Council works to help young people become better young people? And we're very pleased because this Monday night at 7 o'clock, they will be doing the Tom story. Did you like that Tom story, Mrs. Hunter?
Oh, definitely, and they don't have to come out and see that Tom story, because that Tom story is really out of sight. And don't ask me how many characters, because it has something like 20 characters, and each one of them is a different Tom. So this is one thing you're going to really have to come out to see, is this Tom story.
Which Tom did you like best? That crying Tom really got me. That crying Tom was just crying, and that Tom said, oh, things are so bad, oh, things are bad. And we asked that crying Tom to do something. He said, don't ask me to do anything, because all I want to do is cry.
But you know, that busy Tom is one that we run into all the time. That's the Tom that I like. You know, you can say, will you do something? I'm just too busy. I've got this to do. I don't have time for that. I had busy Tom, and he wasn't doing anything, just busy. He couldn't tell you what he was busy doing, but he was just busy.
Well, what about that two-faced Tom?
Oh,
that's some Tom.
Yeah, that was some Tom. Also, that two-faced Tom.
Oh, the Tom story will be presented, and you haven't seen anything till you see the characters in the Tom story. Young men and young ladies that are really playing their part. And Letty, I wanted to compliment you. I understand you're on that committee for the city. What is the name of your committee for the Board of Education?
Oh, you mean that equity committee, Mrs. Luper? I know you love that committee. I told you
that committee was not going to do anything. Now, after 4 years, 3 or 4 years, tell me what your equity committee has done.
Now, I know you're not going to ask me to make a commitment to what
I just want to know. I don't want any questions, any answers, any questions. I just want to answer. You are on that committee. That committee was set up to do a certain thing, and I read in the paper where they want to change the direction and let that committee just go out and bring goodwill like public relations people.
Well, now, Ms. Luper, I can't deny what you're saying that you have read because you did read that.
That's exactly right.
But I cannot say that we are out to get more parent involvement.
That's what
because,
Dr. Stella wants. He wants you to go out and get the parents and bring them in and become involved.
let me tell you, well, my feelings about this parent involvement, we get our children up in the morning. We see to it that they get dressed. We pay for their food so they can eat when they get to school. We see to it that they get to school on time. We see to it that they have notebook, paper, pencils, and paper. We see to it that they go to school so those people can be gainfully employed. The teachers are going to be gainfully employed. And unless the teachers are gainfully employed, the superintendent and his staff cannot be gainfully employed unless we, the parents, are involved. And to me, we are the involvement.
Okay, well, I want to know what your committee has done. I know what it was set up to do.
Well, our committee really have gone into all of the schools. I don't think we have missed any.
Okay, you've gone into the schools. Now, what has happened as a result of
and we checked the schools to see now, and my understanding was, because I was there at the hearing, that we were to see that the schools were not segregated. That was my understanding.
Well, just a minute, Mrs. Honda. Are the schools segregated?
Definitely, we have many. It's total white, and many, as far as students are concerned, it's total black. And those are the reports we brought back to them.
Oh, I know they did something about it once you brought the reports back.
And those schools who said they didn't have enough books, we told them they didn't have enough books. And then those schools that didn't have enough supplies, we told them they didn't have enough supplies.
Okay, you told them that. What happened as a result of it?
They are
still
without books. And I can't say that I am completely satisfied as to the way they are implementing all of the reports that we have given. But I feel they're working on it. And I feel this is personally my feeling, if we would invest the monies into our school system to do the jobs that's within the school that we should be on and doing for us to help the child, our school system will be farther away. But now they didn't worry about getting the books for the kids, but they did worry about increasing salaries for the superintendent. And I felt
for the superintendent, not the teachers.
I'm saying for the superintendent.
Okay.
I think I spelled it out.
Okay,
but if those schools needed the books, before they gave that big increase in that salary, why didn't they put some of that money in purchasing equipment and the books that the students needed?
Well, one thing I can say, those teachers were down there Monday night, and they were really marching. They were saying, I want to be ready to march for freedom, just like John. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and this show is being made possible by Ross Funeral Home, located at 2936 Northeast 36th Street. Temple's Funeral Home, Temple and Son, 2801 North Kelly. McKay Davis, located at 1616 Northeast 36th Street. And Pollard Funeral Home at 2626 North Post Road here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I would like to apologize to Miss Letty Ruth Hunter and congratulate her equity committee because as I see it, they haven't done nothing. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and today's show is being brought to you by Clara Luper. Those of you that have not read Behold the Walls, be sure and read it. Now, those of you that are calling me about Tinker Field, I have told you once, and I'll tell you twice, that the information that I brought to you last week, I didn't tell you, Mrs. Moore told you, and don't you jump on me, because Mrs. Moore is the chairman of the board, and she has the information. Now, for my own information, to make sure that I'm telling you the truth, I'm going out to Tinker, and I'm going to walk into Tinker Credit Union, and I'm going to say, this is Clara Luper, and I would like to see the minutes. Now, they have two choices. If they don't let me read the minutes, I'm going to holler, racial discrimination. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show. You know, it's interesting how things can touch you. And certainly this Thanksgiving, as in past Thanksgiving at 11 o'clock, we always found our way to a church. The church, for those of us that are Baptists, become the church where the Baptist Ministerial Alliance decide to have their Thanksgiving service. When we went to our Thanksgiving service, we did not know who was going to be the speaker. We did not know it until the speaker was introduced. It was a young man that I have seen on many occasions and who has become deeply involved in the community. I have seen him as he stood up for what he believed that was right and who spoke for justice, equality, and freedom. I've heard a lot about him and his church. He's a pastor of the Greater Cannon Baptist Church, located at 731 Northeast 4th Street. I knew that he was a busy minister, but I never heard him preach. I had that opportunity on Thanksgiving Day. I was so impressed with his message until I have invited him here in order that we can share some of the good news with you. I would like to welcome you, Pastor Wilburn Bruner, to a visit with Clara Luper. And I want to congratulate you and thank God for you, because you warmed our hearts and made us leave that church with a sense of dedication and commitment to what was really important. Reverend Bruner.
Praising God for Jesus, who is Lord and Master and head of my life, and to Mrs. Luper, and to Mrs. Hunter, and to all of the radio land. I greet all of you in the name of Jesus. And it's just a blessing to be here, Mrs. Luper, on your show. And I'm most grateful and thankful to God for the privilege and for the opportunity to come and share the blessings of thankfulness. For it is a blessing to be able just to say thank you. And we had a glorious time at the Ebenezer Baptist Church. And I'm just grateful to God that you permitted me to come by and to just say a few words on the behalf of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And before I share a little with you, I just want to thank you for your involvement and for the great work that you're doing in our city and throughout our community and across the state. And I want to share with you, and also let me say this, lest I forget, that I'm most grateful and thankful to God for Dr. Jackson, who's the pastor of the St. John Missionary Baptist Church, for he's been awful kind to me. And on Thanksgiving Day, amen, I just want to lift a few words today. For the Bible said in 2 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter and verse 18, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you." We need to be thankful for everything and for everybody. We need to be thankful to God for our teachers and for our pastors and for our associates, our friends, and our family. For I realize that gratitude will change your attitude and also your altitude. And it's just a blessing to be here. And I want to say this, that I have so much to be thankful for. I thank God for permitting me to pass by Oklahoma City, that I might say or do something that will help someone along life teacher's journey. Then my living shall not be in vain. And I'm so grateful to God, for the Bible said, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye land. Serve the Lord with gladness, and come before his presence with singing. Know ye that the Lord, he is God. It is he that has made us, and not we ourselves. For we are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him, and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endure to all generation." And we talked about a Thanksgiving testimony. And I believe that every child of God that has been born again should have a testify. Amen, a testimony. And I just thank God for my testimony. I thank God for the kindness that I've received from all of humanity and mankind. For the Lord truly has been good to me. And if you'll be grateful to God, that God is able to take rags and turn them into riches, God is able to take indignation and make influence. God is able to take a prison and turn it into a palace. God is able to take burdens and turn them into a blessing. And I thank God that He permitted me to retire from Tinkerfield. I thank God that I've been able to do some extensive traveling. I've been to the Holy Land, Germany, Korea, Japan, and many more places. And God is truly in the blessing business, and He has more blessings and miracles than we have need of. And I know Him today as a doctor, for He healed my body and pulled life back into my body when I laid on my bed of affliction on death row. And I want to thank God for all of the people today. It's just a blessing to be here, Mrs. Luper, and I'll forever be eternal grateful to God for permitting me just to come by and tell the radio land that it's just a blessing to say thank you. And I've observed you and over the years, and you've been lots of inspiration and help in my life and even in my ministry. And we're just right down the corner from your large, beautiful church, 5th Street, amen. And it's just a blessing to be here. And I'm not going to detain you any longer, but let me say this. I thank God for Jesus, who is truly the Lord and Master and head of my life. I thank God that He came down, suffered, bled, and died, and laid in the grave 3 long days, and then early Sunday morning rose from the dead and declared that all power in heaven and earth was trusted in His hand. And I just want to thank God today, for God is truly good, and He looked beyond all our faults. Hallelujah. And I just thanking God for the BMA and for everything. And I'm saying this, and we are also grateful to God for the CCSR, that I am the chaplain of the CCSR, and we're doing great work, and Pastor John Reed is the president. So, Mrs. Luper, truly thank you, and I thank God for the radio land and for everyone for permitting me to come by and just say thank you.
Thank you so very kindly, Reverend Bruno. But before you leave, I would like to ask you, what do you feel that we can do in this community as Christians or as people of different religious faith to combat the growth of drugs in our community?
Mrs. Luper, we had a 24-hour vigil prayer where all of the denominations and churches was together. And I know prayer is the key to the kingdom. And if we would be more prayerful and get involved, then I know that we can combat the drugs. For the Bible teaches and tells us that if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear from heaven. I'll forgive them of their sin, and I'll heal the land. We can hear from heaven, and God will heal our land if we will only trust and believe in Him. And that is the solution to the problem.
Thank you so very kindly, and I would like to quote directly from Reverend Bruner. Gratitude will change your attitude, and your attitude will determine your altitude. That's very great, and I'm very grateful to you for taking time out. We want you to stay around with us. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and this part of our show is being brought to you by Marilyn Hildred, your Allstate insurance agent. If it's insurance you're talking about, let's talk about Allstate. Congratulations to Midwest City. Midwest City, you did well last night. But when those hornets started stinging you, those hornets stung you, and you came back across that turnpike, number 2 in the 5A conference. I'm telling you that Booker T. Washington did just like Booker T. Washington did. That Booker T. Washington went to town. Cast down your buckets where you are. That's what they said last night in Tulsa. And we are looking forward for Booker T. Washington and Edmond High School to tie up in Stillwater next Saturday. Shirley, you are now the president of the NACP Youth Council, and I understand that you are working on a Black History Monument. As you see it, why do we need a Black History Monument in Oklahoma City?
We need a Black History Monument because it's long overdue. America was built by Black people. They were the ones who laid the foundation on the buildings, and not only the buildings, but America. They helped cultivate the land, and they taught so much to many Americans, and it's time that we pay tribute to them.
All right, now, who are some of the people that you know of that will be on the monument?
Myself, as part of the future generation. And a lot of the outstanding civil rights leaders from all over the country and many of the unsung heroes from Oklahoma.
All right, now speaking of the monument, I understand that last week the tanks were removed from the ground. Miss Hunter, I want you to tell me about that, the removal of the tanks, because when we got ready to get us a permit to pave it, we found that we could not do it until the tanks were removed.
Right, Mrs. Luper. I didn't realize that those tanks were that large, and I didn't know that we had that many tanks, and I did not know that some of them still contained some fuel that was explosive. And I'm just happy that it decided to not to explore before we got them up. And I'm so happy that we do have those huge tanks up. I went up and took pictures of them because it's unbelievable. And the young generation will not really realize that we removed such huge tanks at that spot that we are calling now our Freedom Center. So I'm so grateful that we got the tanks up, and the men have carried them away, and they're not on the Freedom Center grounds. And we're moving on toward now getting the monument put down because we couldn't do that.
We need a monument.
You know, I really knew Charlotte was going to say a few minutes ago, Mama, I think we need a monument because remember, I've been marching. I started marching from day one. And this is why I feel something should be there to let people know where we have come from and how we arrived at the point where we are now. Because as far as I can remember, Shelley was in all of those movements. And I just knew she was going to talk about those.
Oh,
and then we have had leaders in Oklahoma City. We have leaders in the other cities in Oklahoma who had made a big contribution to America, to Oklahoma City. And unless someone move out and build a monument for something or for somebody, and no one's going to do it if you don't do it for yourself, then the world will never know. And as we leave the scene, and the young people come on, at least they can go and read, say, what did these people do? And this year, what was done? That year, what was done? And we didn't need the monument because it relates a story. It tells a history of people who were struggling so hard for freedom. And just remember, that monument is going to be at the Freedom Center.
2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue. Let's go down some of the pioneers in Oklahoma City. May God not let us live long enough to forget Roscoe Dungy, Irie Hall, Ruby Hall, and those of you that know anything about the building and the problem of living where you want to. Irie Hall and his lovely wife were put in the streets because he stood up. Theodosia Crawford, A. Willie James, who worked so hard in NACP membership drives. Miss Pinky Knight, who worked constantly every day. Although she was blind, she often told me, Miss Luper, I will never see inside a restaurant, but I want my people to be inside. To Reverend J.H. Wynn, Reverend E.W. Perry, Reverend Johnson, who worked in finance, Ada Loisippi, at a time when it was very difficult. The list goes on, and we will be telling you about all of these people. But now let me talk about love. How many of you out there are in love? Let me tell you, I did a love story last week on Moments in History. I did the love story of Pearl Childs and her husband, G.E. Childs, who fell in love in Texas. And once she fell in love with her, he owned a farm, and he put her on the farm, and she didn't have to work. Then he came to Oklahoma City and treated her just like a baby, and she was still in love. Now, speaking of love, I'm going to 2 weddings this evening. 2 weddings this evening. I wouldn't miss 2 weddings for nothing. At 4 o'clock, I'll be at one, and then at 7 o'clock, I'll be at another wedding. Now, I'm a marriage consultant. Those of you that have some marital problems and you would like to come to me, remember now, I don't operate just like other people. You pay me in advance, and I don't promise you nothing. My fare is, my fee for looking at your marital needs is $500. That's my fee. You got to remember things are changing. I can't go around and advise you on your marital status without any money. I've got to have my $500. Now, the first thing I would tell you, if you're dipping snuff, stop dipping snuff. I would tell you that if you men out there, if you aren't taking care of your body odors and your wife doesn't like it, change. That's all I'm saying. You can get some soap and water and some soda and clean up. I can tell you if you didn't get your wife something for Thanksgiving, that you're in bad shape and you better go downtown now and put her up something for Christmas. Don't get her the same thing you got her last Christmas. You got to get up off of that, because if you don't, somebody else will. Now see, I'll give you all of that advice and I'll outline and give you a chart to go by. What about that lady? $500.
You can't beat that, and I can see why you'd be charging $500 for that kind of counseling. The counseling business must be pretty good.
Oh, my business is good. My business is always good because there are so many people that's trying to get married. I've never seen the like. Well, in other words, I've never seen people who don't want to get married. Some of these men don't marry you women, and I can tell you why. You run them down. Let them run after you. Don't you run after them. Let them run after you. Now, that's some free advice. And two, don't be too expensive. Because I never shall forget, when in my old courting days, a man kept calling me and he wanted to take me out to dinner. And I said, okay, I'm going to get rid of him. I went to the highest place in Oklahoma City, ordered me the biggest steak, and he had never asked me to go out to dinner anymore. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and as I look at the clock on the wall, I know you're going to call me and ask me about that Tinkerfield Credit Union. If you could just hold it now till I find in my schedule time to give you more information. Mrs. Moore told you that she would come back, and there are a lot of unanswered questions. You can answer her. Don't jump down my back. I'm just a member of the credit union. Now, those of you that want to do something, do something. Don't wait until somebody dies. And those of you that want to help with the Black History Monument, do so. I went to the ministerial allowance. Reverend Hubbard promised me that all of the ministers would help me, and I really appreciate it. Well, we need that help now. Is that right, Letty?
That's true. We definitely need this help. And we are asking all of the ministers if they would please give us a contribution. We'd be so grateful for their help or any assistance that they can give.
And their names will not be on the monument, but it'll be inside on the wall in that Freedom Garden. It's going to be beautiful, and I would like for you to stop by Freedom Center and see the improvements that we have made. I'm not going to ask you to do but one thing. Do your part. Carry your part of the load. See to it that you are part of the Black History Monument. Many of you have called me and asked me why didn't Roosevelt Milton mention the Black History Monument at the banquet last week. Don't call me. Ask him, because Roosevelt Milton knows about the monument. He also knows about the problems that we are having in getting the pavement and everything down. As I look at the clock, I know it's time for Clara Luper to say goodbye. But I'm going to say goodbye today in the words of Reverend Bruner. Gratitude will change your attitude, and your attitude will determine your altitude. And for those of you that's getting married, hang on in there. Clara Luper reporting, KBYE Radio, Oklahoma City.
It's 3 o'clock, and it's time now for the Help Program with your brother, Reverend James Young, from KBYE Radio 890 AM in Oklahoma City.
I can walk right, yes I can.